Game day's here, I can hear the crowd. Turn on the lights, fans are cranked up and loud. Red or blue, we wear it proud. Yeah, we love our teams in this border town. Chiefs and Royals, Boo Mizzou, Rock Chalk, Jayhawk, KU. Hear that drum pounding in your feet. Yeah, you're marching to the beat of KC.
What is going on, YouTube? What is going on, Kansas City? And what is going on, everybody? And welcome to the beat of KC. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Lucas Murphy, and the Kansas City Royals, yet again, are tied to a outfielder, specifically with the Houston Astros. So in this video, we're really going to talk about the potential trade for that Houston Astros outfielder, and really potentially what it would take to get this said individual, as well as what this individual will provide the Kansas City Royals. And that person we're actually talking about is Jake Meyers. Jake Meyers is really kind of an intriguing piece that the Kansas City Royals are tied to. Now, obviously, we know that the Kansas City Royals really need to upgrade in the outfield. But Jake Meyers can provide you a little bit more of a defensive aspect. He can provide you a little upgrade in center field if need be from a bat perspective. So we're really going to jump in and talk about this entire thing. So Jake Meyers, as of right now, is a low-cost, defensive-first center fielder who just had a breakout-ish type of year in 2025. And it is reportedly that the Astros are added him to the trade market. For the Royals, he offers elite range and outfield defense, speed on the bases, plus cheap, controllable contract. At the cost of a limited power and some offensive volatility, Houston is said to be listening for pitching, which plays right into really what the Royals' strength is. Obviously, the Kansas City Royals are loaded with the currency of baseball. So what Jake Meyers would provide Kansas City? The pluses first. So obviously, again, we talked about the defense. And I really kind of want to, I'll get in comparison to a Kyle Isbell, because a lot of people will say, well, why do we need to make a trade for a defensive first, a defensive-minded outfielder if we already have Kyle Isbell? And we'll go ahead and get into all that. So Jake Meyers grades very well as a defensive center fielder, excellent range, outs above average, defensive metrics that stand out, which actually comes out to a 95 according to Baseball Savant. That would immediately improve the Royals' outfield defense from that perspective and grab outs that save runs. Now, Kyle Isbell, elite defense, we know that, but is he going to be your starting center fielder every day yet again? We'll just have to see. One of the other things that Jake Meyers provides is speed and base running. He can swipe bases and turn singles into doubles with above average wheels and sprint speed. It comes out to a 71. I think that is a piece that really bodes well for the Kansas City Royals because of how big Kauffman Stadium actually is. And we know that as Royals fans. Those doubles are significant. I think, too, when you really talk about it, the fact that he can get on base, and depending on where he's at, more than likely he would be a lower in your lineup type of guy, but that would allow him to get on base for those guys at the top looking to drive him in. And so I think that that's something to think about as well. In 2025, he did steal 16 bases, which isn't a significant amount, but there is opportunity for that to improve. Now, another thing to think about, Jake Meyers is cheap. He's got a controllable contract. He's still in his arbitration-controlled years and projects in the low millions range for the next few years. So acquiring him is a relatively low payroll hit and really a low risk financially that fits the Royals' kind of usual approach. And I think that this makes sense because the Royals aren't looking to really break the bank. We know kind of where they're expected to sit for payroll. And so this is an option that I think if some of those other dominoes were to fall, this is something that they could look to. Now, the big question around that obviously is, will Jake Meyers still be around when those dominoes fall? Another thing, good glove and clubhouse fit. So veterans and analytical clubs value a defender who's reliably covers center and can play multiple days of the week, which Meyers is that type. Limitations and risks. So some things you have to think about from kind of a negative perspective. He does have limited power and that offensive upside. He's not a slugger, ladies and gentlemen. Don't expect him to crush the baseball over the fence, especially in a ballpark like Kauffman Stadium. Even in his better offensive seasons, he profiles as more of a contact speed outfield glove player rather than really a middle of the order type of bat, which the Kansas City Royals, if you think about it, they don't necessarily need that. Now, they're going to add something like that through the trade market in a significant outfield piece when that starts to really evolve, but that's not necessarily what they would be interested in from a Jake Meyers. Now, he is kind of up for potential regression. There is some variability with that. So some of his 2025 offensive gains come with a high BABIP, which we really talked about with a few other guys in a previous video. BABIP basically states that it's luck. So there is a non-trivial chance his batting lines drift back towards the mean, which is a little bit more regressed, obviously. And he has had not necessarily a significant injury health history, but he has had injuries in the prior seasons and had some recent calf leg issues, which really has been kind of identified in some of this trade coverage. And it's worth monitoring. I would expect him to kind of be past that, but that's something to always take into consideration too. So how he fits the Royals roster, why this move makes sense, and really why this is probably even being discussed. Again, it's a defensive first mentality. You could get Jake Meyers, plug him into your everyday center field role, which would then allow Kyle Isbell to go to your fourth outfielder, which is a significant not necessarily but a significant player coming off the bench. He can provide you elite defense, so maybe he can step in another spot. He is a left-handed stick, so he can come in and maybe, fill a spot where a righty's on the bump and you need a lefty to take an at-bat. Kyle Isbell is also extremely elite at laying down bunts. So in late game situations, maybe you need to get a guy over. That's where a Kyle Isbell would really factor into the coming off the bench. So I really think that is a significant thing and why he would fit so well with the Kansas City Royals, and that is Jake Meyers. Now, he is a low financial risk, and like we stated, he's in arbitration control, and a modest projected salary mean acquiring him won't block the Royals' payroll flexibility. It will still allow them to go out and make a significant trade for that left fielder that we're presumably thinking they're going to make. It's that magical time of the year again. The minute the boxes come out of storage and the first string of lights flickers on, everything just feels brighter. The smell of pine fills the house. The Christmas tree goes up, and suddenly, you're transforming your home into a full-blown holiday wonderland. Maybe you're climbing the ladder to hang lights on the roof, setting up those larger-than-life yard decorations, or turning the living room into the coziest place on earth. But sometimes, the Christmas spirit outgrows the space you're in. Whether you're dreaming of a bigger living room, for the perfect tree, a yard worthy of your holidays display, or simply a home that better fits your seasonal traditions, now might be the ideal time to find your dream home. Lisa Miller at Lynch Real Estate. With over 13 years of experience and licenses in both Kansas and Missouri, Lisa isn't just selling houses. She's helping you find a place to call home. Whether you're a first-time home buyer, looking to upsize, or selling your current home, Lisa makes the process smooth and stress-free. As a local expert, passionate about building lasting relationships, she ensures her clients feel confident and satisfied every step of the way. Don't wait. Your perfect home is just a call away. Contact Lisa today at 913-579-3246 or 913-369-3000 or visit lisamillersellskc.com. Let Lisa Miller at Lynch Real Estate help you start your next chapter. So if you're ready to make a move that matches your holiday joy, Lisa Miller is here to help you find that place where your Christmas magic can truly come to life. And the trade leverage, Houston reportedly wants pitching or controllable arms. The Royals are stock loaded with that. The Royals have pitching depth and controllable pieces they can offer without giving up really a top-tier blue-chip prospect and making this trade a little bit more feasible. And what the Astros will likely ask for. Now, we'll kind of talk a little bit of mock trade aspect. We're not going to dive in too much into players. I mean, we'll talk a little bit about some, but really kind of a tiered system. But the trade coverage indicates Houston is shopping Meyers as they look to clear roster space and really chase pitching help. We know Framber Valdez more than likely is not going back to the Houston Astros, although there's a chance he is kind of playing the market. He's been tied to the Orioles. He's been tied to a few other teams, so they will be losing probably a significant starting pitcher in their rotation. So they will be looking for a starting rotation type of pitcher, and really maybe an upper level prospect potentially. So those will be prime targets, really kind of what you can expect for the Astros. I would expect them potentially to be asking for a low-cost MLB starter who can help really in the 2026 depth aspect, or package two mid to upper level prospects, one pitcher, one positional prospect, because Meyers is controlled for a short window and isn't an absolute star. The price should be significant, but not prohibitive either. And I think that's a big thing too. It also truly depends on who the Astros have also offered him in a trade piece as well. There has been rumors that the Dodgers might be interested. So if you're battling one of those more bigger market type teams, you could get outbid easily. Now, kind of just talking a little bit of mock trade aspect, and again, we're not going to dive too much into players. It's just going to give you kind of a perspective of how this could shape up, really. So number one is low cost, low commitment, safety first. So really, maybe they could get a AA, AAA pitching prospect, mid-tier, a low-level outfield prospect, and more than likely, it could come with a player to be named later. The rationale behind this is minimal prospect capital, keeps the ceiling of Royals farm intact, gets immediate defensive upgrade. But the thing is we know that the Astros are looking for a piece they can plug into their rotation. So probably the low cost, low commitment is out the window. A fair market, most likely, which I do believe, return on an MLB-ready back-end starter or swing starter, a mid-level pitcher / position prospect. So the Kansas City Royals did go make a trade really around the deadline where they sent Freddie Fermin to the Padres, and in return, they were to get Ryan Bergert and Steven Kolek. So that probably is an option. You know, those two guys could really kind of come to mind. I'm a type of person, the Kansas City Royals have really built a good, solid foundation in their rotation. You know, and the thing is they have Cole Reagans, they have Seth Lugo, they have Michael Wacha, they have right now Chris Bubich. But then you have those other two guys to kind of fill in. And we know that injuries can happen to your starting rotation. We saw it decimate really the Kansas City Royals rotation throughout the entire year this last year. And you have to be able to have guys that can come in and give you quality starts. And so to go ahead and just completely, not necessarily decimate your starting pitching, but give a chunk of that away just to kind of fill a center field role when you're really trying to fill a spot in left field, kind of can sway on the fence, and that's kind of where I'm at. Do I want Jake Meyers? That'd be a phenomenal addition for sure. But do I want to give up a guy like Ryan Bergert? Do I want to give up a guy like Kolek? Not necessarily. Now, I understand that that's probably what it would take. And I understand if you're going to get a good player, you have to give up good players. It's just how baseball works. They're not just going to take, you know, your dumpster heap because that's what you want to get and you want to go get a player. They want good quality in return. So you're going to have to give up a good player or players in order to get a guy like Jake Meyers. Now, the aggressive approach, the win now aspect, is return a controllable major league starter or near major league ready upper level arm plus a potential top 10 organizational prospect. Rationale behind this is if the Royals want to lock Meyers as an everyday center fielder and are willing to pay the prospect capital to beat competition like the Dodgers and others reportedly interested, this is a package that wins a bidding war but costs future upside. I don't anticipate the Kansas City Royals sacrificing a win-now mentality just to go acquire a Jake Meyers. The middle option, so number 2, is most likely realistic outcome given Meyers' profile, really kind of where he's at. Statistically with the bat, we know he has really good defensive metrics, but he's not a complete star. So controlled for a short window at value that's, you know, something to consider, mostly because of the defense and the speed. Recent reporting specifically mentions the Royals could offer a pitcher like Chris Bubich in the talks. I think that's way too much. You would have to get more than just Jake Meyers in return. Chris Bubich, although he's in his last year, I think that would just be an overweighted type of trade, and I don't think Chris Bubich should just go for Jake Meyers. I feel like there would have to be way more involved because the Kansas City Royals could potentially use Chris Bubich in a much bigger trade for a left fielder that they're really in desperation for. Houston's preference for starting pitching makes such a package like this attractive and why they are probably a good trade partner for this. So really my final take. If Kansas City wants runs saved and roster flexibility, Meyers is an appealing low-risk target. He would help on the defensive side, as we stated. He would add the speed and won't command a large salary. If Kansas City wants offense/power, Meyers isn't the answer. He doesn't move the team's run production needle dramatically. In that scenario, it might be better to target an outfielder with more on-base power or trade for a cornerback instead, which we know they're definitely in the market for. We know that they're heavily trying to seek out trades. We've heard the rumors, obviously, with Duran, although he's not going to provide you a ton of power. But Duran is obviously a much bigger trade piece than a Jake Meyers would be. We've also heard links, obviously, to Brendan Donovan, who has that flexibility, can play the outfield, can play second base. So there's other guys that obviously I think that they're anticipating to try to get first. Jake Meyers, again, like I stated earlier, would probably be more of a, not necessarily an emergency smash the emergency button, but he would be a move that you would make, I think, closer to a you need to make a move and really kind of upgrade just a tick. And so finally, the trade posture. Offer a mid-level pitching piece plus a prospect. Don't overpay with top-tier long-term prospects. I think avoid the Chris Bubich discussion that keeps popping up for some of these guys. And Houston's desire for pitching gives the Royals really kind of the leverage, I think, because they are so heavy in that starting pitching and really kind of have the depth when it comes to that in somewhat of the minor leagues as well. I appreciate y'all checking out this video. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed this video. I appreciate all the love and support you've given me for the Kansas City Royals videos. I'm a huge fan, so obviously these videos are going to keep coming. Make sure you guys smash that like button, smash that subscribe button. Comment down below. Let me know what you guys think. Would you trade for Jake Meyers? What would you give up? And I end every video the exact same way. Have a good day.